In the city of which I sing, there was a just and placid king.
Just and placid means fair and calm. The king was fair and calm.
The king proclaimed an arch should be constructed that triumphantly would span the major thoroughfare to edify spectators there.
Thoroughfare means a road. To edify means to benefit minds. The arch would celebrate the major road to benefit the minds of the spectators there.
The workmen went and built the thing. They did so, since he was the king. The king rode down the thoroughfare to edify spectators there. Under the arch he lost his crown. The arch was built too low, a frown appeared upon his placid face.
Frown, displeasure.
The king said,
"This is a disgrace. The chief of builders will be hanged."
The rope and gallows were arranged.
Gallows, a structure for the hanging of criminals.
The chief of builders was led out. He passed the king. He gave a shout.
"O king, it was the workmen's fault."
"Oh,"
said the king, and called a halt to the proceedings. Being just and placid now, he said,
"I must have all the workmen hanged instead."
The workmen looked surprised and said,
"O king, you do not realize the bricks were made of the wrong size."
"Summon the masons,"
said the king.
Masons, people who build walls from bricks.
The masons stood there quivering.
"It was the architect."
They said, the architect was summoned.
"Well, architect, I do ordain that you shall be hanged."
O king, you have forgotten one small thing. You made certain amendments to the plans I showed them to you.
The king heard this. The king saw red. In fact, he nearly lost his head. But being a just and placid king, he said,
"This is a tricky thing. I need some counsel. Bring to me the wisest man in this country."
The wisest man was found and brought, nay, carried, to the royal court.
Nay, no.
He could not walk and could not see, so old and therefore wise was he. But in a quavering voice he said,
"The culprit must be punished. Truly, the arch it was that banged the crown off, and it must be hanged."
To the scaffold the arch was led.
Scaffold, platform for execution of criminals.
When suddenly a councillor said, "How can we hang so shamefully? What touched your head, your majesty?"
"True,"
mused the king.
Mused, said thoughtfully.
By now the crowd, restless, was muttering aloud. The king perceived their mood, and trembled, and said to all who were assembled,
"Let us postpone the consideration of finer points, like guilt. The nation wants a hanging. Hanged must be someone, and that immediately."
The noose was set up somewhat high. Each man was measured by and by. But only one man was so tall, he fitted. One man, that was all. He was the king. His Majesty was therefore hanged by royal decree.
Decree, order.
"Thank goodness we found someone,"
said the ministers.
"For if instead we had not, the unruly town might well have turned against the crown."
"Long live the king," ministers said. "Long live the king. The king is dead." They pondered the dilemma. Then, being practical-minded men, sent out the heralds to proclaim in his former Majesty's name.
The ministers thought of this confusion. Who is to be the king? But then, being practical-minded, they sent out the heralds, that is, announcers, to proclaim that
the next to pass the city gate will choose the ruler of our state, as is our custom. It will be enforced with due ceremony.
A man passed by the city gate. An idiot. The guards cried,
"Wait. Who is to be the king? Decide."
"A melon,"
the idiot replied. This was his standard answer to all questions. He liked melons.
"And now our king,"
the ministers said, crowning a melon. Then they carried the melon to the throne, and reverently, respectfully, set it down. This happened years and years ago. when now you ask the people.
So, your king appears to be a melon. How did this happen?
They say,
Well, on account of customary choice. If His Majesty rejoice in being a melon,
Rejoice. Show joy.
that's okay with us. For who are we, to say what He should be, as long as He leaves us in peace and liberty?
the principles of laissez-faire seem to be well established there.
Laissez-faire? What does this mean? It's a French phrase, which means, let it be. It is a system in which government does not interfere with people's businesses. The melon being the king, thus established the principles of laissez-faire, and the people are happy with it.